Right. So let's continue our talk about AI engineering book. Let's go to the chapter 4, evaluate AI system. I think for me it's one of my favorite chapters of this book, and it taught so many important topics. And yeah, let's go. Um, so the first part of this chapter is very insightful, very good, because it comes to the problematic of the rush of the teams of building AI apps, as I mentioned before, like for example customer support chatbots, but don't having any clear way to measure their success or their return of investment. So that's very common and very concerning things, because the powerful of these applications like bright the eyes of the product teams and the CEOs and the capitalists, but they don't actually know how to put this in product and give value. Actually, they have like some notion of AI magic, because they don't actually know how to handle, and don't know how to think this as an actual software that need to be tested, and then it comes, for the solution that the book proposed, which is very nice, and I think it's very insightful, which is the concept of evaluation driven development. So the same way that we have test driven development for actual traditional software, we should have uh, this idea of before writing any code, define how it will be evaluated, how we will evaluate this application. So the idea here is to understand how we will bring actual value by giving these evaluation guidelines, before actually creating anything. So we need to make sure that everything that we will create during this AI system development should be quickly evaluated to understand if we are going to the right direction or we need to fix something. And it is very important to create a AI product that brings actual value to the people. So going to the definition of the evaluation criteria, this will vary from use case to use case, but the main question here is what will makes a good AI system? So that's the answer that we need to address in this chapter. Address this point. The author proposed like four steps to evaluate four categories. The first category is domain specific capabilities. So does the AI system understand the legal jargon and the concept of the domain that is actually being produced? For example, you can create like multiple choice questions to evaluate if the model is being able to align with the expected results, from this. Third, two, second, the generation capability. Like in the context of text summarization, is the summary coherent, fluent, and factually consistent with the book that we are actually summarizing? Here we can use, for example, AI as a judge to see if they are being coherent or not, or if it is a hallucination. Third, instruction following capability. So we want to measure if the prompt steps are being actually followed during the generation of the output. The format is correct, the steps are being followed correctly, the length of the output is correct, this kind of stuff. And last but not least, cost and latency. So is it actually cheap enough to be a practical solution to be deployed? And here we will touch some metrics like TTFT, like time to the first token, which is the time it takes like to LLM to receive the request and generate the first token of the message. And TPOT, which is time per output token, which is the intervals to generate each token. And also additional metrics to understand cost and latency. And that will help to answer this question about this functional requirement of the software to be put to the production, for example. Going more deep into the generation capability, um, here we want to focus on two critical areas: factual consistency and safety. For factual consistency, we have many things that we could cover, but the author shares some how to say that, divisions on this factual consistency. So we have first like local consistency. So the output is consistent with a given source context that is provided to the system. And we have like a global consistency. So is it the output like consistent with the general world, like the vision of the environment that we have in the world? It aligns with this global context, which is very hard to define. We usually evaluate more locally, but we need to keep aligned with the global consistency. Sorry. um, the challenge here is that these AI models um, will prioritize like source relevance because they were trained on this on the internet, and the internet mostly have this bias of more relevant topics, more relevant source are more referenced, so it's more probabilistic. They are more likely to be choose to train these models. So this will be prioritized over like scientific proven content. So the training of these models were not um, prioritized to focus on scientific, factually driven content, but instead relevance and more paid content. Um, so that's the trade-off to guarantee the consistency. And the approach that the author suggests is using AI as a judge to evaluate factually consistent content against the source that we expect the the AI systems to stay aligned to. Now, going to the safety, we want to assure that we're not producing harmful outputs. So we need to have a clear definition in the prompts or in another part of the AI system, ways to filter out inappropriate language, hate speech, violence, stereotypes, and harmful recommendation. And it is also like impossible to have a super neutral model because neutrality doesn't actually exist. But the goal is to filter more explicit things so we can avoid more clear problematic responses from this system. Going to the instruction following capability, the idea here is that you want to answer, can it actually do what you ask? And the definition is how well the model like follows the specific instruction given in the prompt. And a way to measure this is to see if the model succeeds, if the output meets all the defined criteria in the in the instructions from the prompt. And there are some findings regarding the GPT-4, like being very reasonable and reliable compared to other alternatives like human alternatives like Amazon Mechanical Turk. And the author suggests another type of test, which is very interesting, which is the role playing as a test. So you like AI systems have this ability of role playing, that you can say that they are one type of character, and the idea of this test is to understand how long the system can actually be in the character, so we can align with what it is expected. So this you guarantee that it can follow a bunch of instruction and not stay out of these instructions. So this is also another a good way to understand if the model is following the instruction that you provide. Like going outside a bit of this topic of evaluation, we in this chapter there's also a discussion about model selection, and particularly choosing between open source or APIs, vendor APIs. So there's many trade-off involved with this, but the TLDR is that if you want to build something, it, it's basically a trade-off of building in-house stuff or buying stuff. There's This is a very old trade-off, but here's just applied with something that are specific for for the context of AI and foundation models. So, for example, we have the trade-off of data privacy. So, if you have open source or fine-tune your model inside your company, the data stays in house, and you don't need to share anything with the vendors. And if you use proprietary APIs, you need to sign a contract to say if you will send the data to the third party or not. But this is not actually taken for granted for anything. There's some things related to costs. Engineering costs of having something in house is very prohibited in some time, because you need to have a lot of skillful people to maintain and evolve these inside compared to just calling the vendor API, that you don't need any ingenuity, like anyone can actually do that in the company. So that's the debate that we have here. The author talk many other things that you need to take into account, but I think that's a very interesting part of this chapter. But going back to evaluation, just to finalize this topic, the author finished the chapter talking about how to design like your own evaluation pipeline. So there are some tips, and the author talks about some steps to do so. Uh, the first part is the first thing is evaluate all components of your system uh, independently. So if you have, for example, a query planner, intent classifier, a retriever, a generation, an output schema parsing, for example, you need to test these separately, and also try to create integration tests so we can um, understand how these things are coupled, and how these things are producing as a whole, producing the expected behavior. That's pretty much the idea of the evaluation of all the components. Second is like having a clear guideline of what is good and what is bad for your application, for each part of your application. And you need to be very specific about these methods and how you will handle that. For example, if you want to use semantic similarity for relevance of the of the producer output, for the safety you can use toxicity classifier. For the factuality, you can use AI as a judge or use human labeling. And also, don't be afraid to use human labeling, so you can have these ground of these um, on how your system is is working with the more experts. So if you're creating an investment or a credit card uh, agent, you need to have people that knows this field, so they can actually contribute with this application, because you need to bear in mind that using these foundation models is like starting from a common sense. So you need to get out of this common sense and if actually create something that is specialized for your use case. So for that, you need people. You need people that know something about this field and they can comprehend, they can criticize, and that is very important to create something meaningful out of this. And also, last but not least, she mentioned about the you need to evaluate your evaluation. So you need to understand the coverage of your pipeline, understand the strengths and the things that you need to evolve for to get more um, a better evaluation for sure. And you need to understand the pitfalls about the whole pipeline of your evaluation and understand how to improve this. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it from this chapter. It's very insightful, very interesting chapter, and I think you will. I hope you liked this session. And for the next talk, we will go out of this evaluation context. We will go to the prompt engineering, and yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoy, and see you in the next lesson. Bye bye.